What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Scott Proctor, alongside my guy, Matt Morris, and we're back with another episode of Simple Question, but this time we'll have more than one because we've got a special guest, a friend of the show, joining us once again, a senior researcher at ESPN, Jenni LaCroix. Jenni, thanks for joining us. How are you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me. I'm becoming a regular on the show now. It's been fun chatting with you guys.
Indeed. We love having you on. It's a great time to have you on as well with the WNBA season now in full swing. ESPN also now for the first time ever has WNBA fantasy basketball. So go check that out if you haven't already. But let's hop right into things, Jenni. I want to start with probably my new favorite player in the WNBA, Rhyne Howard. We talked about her a little bit last time you were on the show. She dropped 33 points in a win over the Fever on Sunday. She's now just the sixth WNBA rookie to hit 80 points in her first 4 games, joining the likes of Diana Taurasi and a couple other former ballers. Bit of a weak schedule for the Atlanta Dream out the gate here, but how impressive has Rhyne been? And really how impressive the Dream had been early on. Do you expect Rhyne to continue this high level of play?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I love the stat you just used because that was mine that I put out there.
I knew it was.
I was like, that was mine. Stats information.
That's awesome stuff.
Yeah, it was great. And it's great when they tweet that stuff out. But yeah, she's been amazing. Dropped 33 points in that game. Obviously, it was against the Fever, who maybe aren't the best team in the W, but they also look better than they did last season. But she's been phenomenal. The way that she can score is it bodes well for the WNBA and the style of play that they want to go about doing things. So I think it was a great thing for the Dream to draft up or trade up to get her as the first overall pick. They knew that she would be a prime scorer. They knew they needed that. They needed another, Angel McCoughtry draft. And that's what they got, I think. I mean, we're only 4 games in, but she's proven to be an elite scorer in the league already, averaging 20 points per game. And it's been fun to watch. I think that Dream team, maybe they haven't had the toughest schedule out of the gate, but they look a lot better than they did last year. And it's almost a completely new team. So that whole organization, they had some ownership change, and then they had some off the court issues with Courtney Williams and another player, and then Kennedy Carter was suspended last year for the remainder of the season. So I think that new ownership kind of wanted to come in and start fresh, get some new blood, get some new people, and create around Rhyne Howard, and that's what they've done, and they're off to a hot start, which is great to see.
Yeah, and I mean, going the complete opposite way, the Minnesota Lynx have been off to another terrible start. Now, they did this last year too, and then ended up going, I think it was 22-6. Do you see that happening again for them? Are they going to be able to turn this around? And what do they need to do to turn it around and get back to the top of the WNBA?
Yeah, it's tough because they're an organization that has been successful, overall as a franchise. But it's tough because they don't have Nafisa Collier. We don't know if she'll be back this season because she's pregnant and having her first child, which is great. Sylvia Fowles has announced this is her last year, so we'd love to put her, have her last year be an amazing run where they make the playoffs, etc. But it can't just be her. And right now they've had a lot of roster changes in these first 4 games, these first couple of weeks since training camp. I think their initial thought was, let's get Angel McCoughtry and Odyssey Sims and have Sylvia Fowles, and we have that experience right away that will help us propel us to success. For some reason, and obviously I'm not in that front office making those decisions, that didn't seem to work, and they, paid the rest of Angel's contract and waived her, as well as they waived Odyssey Sims. And then all the players that they waived that they either drafted or, younger players that they had picked up in free agency that they waived, brought them all back on hardship contracts and then brought them back full time. So I think now they're going the route of let's develop these players. And I guess Sylvia Fowles is going to be a good veteran to help them do that. But we'll see if that works out for them. I just think they made these decisions a little late. Because obviously the veteran experience didn't maybe work out the way that they were hoping. And so now they're kind of backtracking to developing the younger players.
Yeah, I don't see them personally digging out of this early season hole, to be honest with you. I think there's too much talent in the WNBA nowadays, too many good teams. one of those really good teams that I want to talk about, and I know you're high on right now, the Las Vegas Aces. Obviously, Becky Hammon made her WNBA head coaching debut last week, and the Aces look good, point blank, period. Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum have been arguably the league's best duo so far this season early on. Hammon called Plum damn near unguardable a couple of days ago. What have you seen so far out of Hammon with the Aces? What have you seen out of the Aces so far, and how good can they truly be this season, do you think?
I think this is the year that they make it all the way. I mean, wow. I think they win it. I mean, I may be biased because Nikki Fargas is the president of the Aces, and I got to work with her a lot, and I just think she knows her stuff. She knows what it takes to win, and she's thinking outside the box of most presidents in the league. And she's got that team operating on all cylinders. The players she picked up, the experienced players she has, re-signing Jackie Young to an extension just a little less than a week ago. She's put pieces in place, as well as hiring Becky Hammon to take them to the next level of winning a championship. They look great. They always look great. For the last 3 seasons, they've been the best, offense in the league. Right. We knew that was coming because Bill Lambier's done a great job with that program prior to, obviously, Becky Hammon coming. But I just think Becky Hammon's experience of playing in the WNBA and being really successful for the Stars, which are now the Aces, same franchise, and then being under Greg Popovich for how many years as an assistant coach, learning the ropes under one of the best coaches of all time, and then coming in to show what she's learned, what she knows, bringing in that experience as a player and as an assistant coach is just huge for them. That's the leap that they needed to be great. And Jackie Young has been phenomenal. She's taken a huge step forward. They have, I would say, the best backcourt in the league right now. And then Aisha Wilson always is. You can count on her to do what the team needs. They just are operating on all cylinders. And they have everyone can shoot the three. I don't think there's another team in the league that has every player that can shoot a three. I think that organization has set themselves up to win it all this year. Their only loss was to the Mystics, and the Mystics have been off to a hot start too. Right. And they have Elena Deladon healthy and back. So I think this is their year, and they have the experience now too. They've been playing together with that same core for a while. And yeah, Kelsey Plum, who cares that she tore her Achilles, 2 years ago? She looks better than she did prior to that. So she's proven everyone wrong that she's, one of the best guards in the league. And that first step she has to get past defenders, she is so gosh darn quick. I don't know if there's a defender in the league that can stop her.
Yeah, I don't know if I think I've yet to see one for sure. And I'm right there with you on the Aces. I like their chances to go ahead and run the table and win it all. I want to ask a question off of that though, because we talked a little bit about Hammon. We talked about her time with the Spurs. It appears as though Becky Hammon one day wants to coach in the NBA, obviously, preferably probably at the head coaching level. Do you think a title this year, her first year at head coach at WNBA, would kind of propel her to the career that she probably wants in the NBA? Or how soon do you think she could make that jump from the WNBA to the NBA ranks?
Yeah, I think when she took this job, it wasn't like, oh, I'm taking this job because it's a stepping stone to get to the NBA. I know she would love to. I think we all would love to see her coach in the NBA because she's a trailblazer. But this is a great opportunity for her to show that she's a head coach, and the NBA this first time around missed out on an amazing talent head coach. So I think she could make the jump 100%, and winning a title this year would just put her resume on top of most organizations that are hiring for new coaches. But I don't know if she'd leave right away.
Interesting.
Because, she just got this position. She's trying to make this organization a championship team. And if they do that, it's a check off the bucket list. But at what point, why would you leave a franchise if you think you can win another one or another one after that or another one after that? And then after you've kind of solidified, maybe you've won a couple titles if they can, then instead of just taking whatever job comes to you in the NBA, now you have all these titles to back you up, and you can pick the one that you want to take, that you think would be the most successful. So I think she might be in the league for a little longer as a head coach to really prove herself and say, you know what, I know what I'm doing. You guys now know that I know what I'm doing. And now I have the pick of wherever I want to go versus the other way around of taking whatever whoever offers it to her, right? Because for her, I think it's super important that she goes to an organization, if she chooses to coach in the NBA, that is going to have a chance of being successful right away.
Yeah.
Not an organization that no matter what probably won't be successful because the organization doesn't do a great job of getting guys through the draft or taking guys out of free agency. Maybe they just don't have a great culture. She needs to be in a place that will really buy into her and they'll be successful right away, because otherwise a lot of people will sit there and go, oh man, she couldn't handle it. And it's like, no, she can. No other coach could have handled this either. This is a bad organization. So I would like to see her prove that she's got it in the bag as a head coach in the WNBA and get to make her pick of where she wants to go in the NBA.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. I think she's certainly more than capable of being a head coach in the NBA as of right now. But I think, getting a title, maybe 2 under her belt, I don't see how anybody could deny her at the NBA level a chance to, coach their team. And I agree. It has to be the right spot. It has to be a franchise that's knows what they're doing up top. Probably a franchise that is going to, be willing to have, some patience with her as well, too, because it's probably not going to be all, dandelions and whatnot year one and whatnot. But
most of the time when there's a coaching change and someone's fired, it's because that team maybe wasn't doing very well.
Exactly.
So that's a little tougher, but they need some patience, just like they would with any other coach.
We got to talk a little bit about the defending champs. Chicago Sky, Candace and Courtney have been holding it down early on in this season, while finalist MVP Kalia Copper is on the way back after her tour on the European tour this summer. What do you make of the Sky? Do they have a chance of running it back? What do you need to see out of them to, reach that goal and, get back-to-back titles here?
I love the Sky. I love Candace Parker, and Courtney Vanderson is my favorite point guard. But we haven't seen a champ like someone win back-to-back titles since the Sparks in 2002 and 2001. Yeah. So it's tough. I mean, that league is so competitive, and we've seen in the first 8 days of this season, we already don't have any undefeated teams left. So, and this the second time it's ever happened. The only other time was in the wobble, right? The 2020 bubble. That was the only other time it happened, which was an unprecedented year. So it's going to be tough, and they don't have the bench that they had last year. Diamond DeShields is now with the Mercury. Stephanie Dolson is now on the Liberty. And it's just a new bench. Now, Dana Evans has shown us that she's been playing really well, and that's great. And she'll be someone that can come off the bench and, possibly drop 20 every once in a while. But they got to stay healthy. It's hard to run it back because now everyone knows what they have.
Getting everybody's best shot.
Yeah, and last year's was such an unprecedented year. They got hot at the right time. And I wouldn't say they were the best team in the league going into the playoffs. They just hit it at the right time and hit their stride at the right time. That same team, you don't see that happen often, where a team just goes off in the playoffs but had a very mediocre year with that almost the same exact core. So what is different about this year than last year? And it's going to be hard for them to go on a run like that in the playoffs again if they get a 6 or 5 seed. And they're 2-1, which isn't bad. I mean, but it's going to be tough. They're going to get everyone's best shot, target on their back. So
it'll be difficult, to say the least. But I'm putting my faith in Candace Parker until I have a reason not to at this point. But give me a little early finals prediction. I know you're high on the Aces. You expect them to be there. Who do you envision them perhaps playing in the WNBA finals? Or give me another team that you wouldn't be surprised, is end up as the last team or two standing.
My too early in the season prediction is, the Aces for sure. And then I think the Mystics with Elena Deladon healthy.
Yeah.
And Natasha Cloud playing amazing. I mean, she's now a shooter. She put the league on notice. She said, hey, watch out, shooter now. I just think that's they're looking very, very strong. And what's crazy is I was looking at their stats to see, like, oh, is their offense really great? Is their defense really great? Well, how are they winning these games? And it has nothing, like, they rank top 5, I guess. There's only 12 teams. They rank top 5 in, like, points per game, opponent points per game. Like, in every stat, they're, like, top 5. But, like, they're not, like, the best in this or that. They take care of the ball really well. That's mainly probably the one big thing that I would say that they're the best at. But other than that, like, you know, they've just been rolling, and they beat the Phoenix Mercury, which obviously are without Brittany Griner. But yeah, they just look good. They just look like they're clicking on all cylinders. And Natasha Cloud said like that having EDD back changes the entire chemistry of the team.
Everything.
She's a leader. She is changing the culture, just making it such a great place to play. And then they have Ariel Atkins, who's also like, I think she led the team in scoring last year. So, you know, she's no slouch by any means either. They kind of have that trio. And Coach Mike, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, but Coach T, we'll call him. He's great, and he knows how to get those guys playing at a top level. They won in 2019, and they have a really good set of players this year that they're ready to rock and roll with. So I would say that they're my second choice. They lose to the Aces in the playoffs.
I'm liking it. Aces and Mystics. It's on the board right now. The way too early. I like it a lot. I'm probably going to go with that as well.
Like Scott said at the top of the show, ESPN is launching WNBA fantasy basketball for the first time ever. I know you have a team, and if you want, check out the link below to go and start your own fantasy basketball team. How's your team doing, and how exciting is it to have fantasy basketball for the WNBA?
It's great. The only fantasy league I usually participate in is the NFL, which is a little easier because you just change it every week.
Right.
I have to keep track a little more of what's going on, but it's been really fun to see. I mean, honestly, I know more about other players that maybe I didn't prior because I had to draft, you know, I had a big league. So I had to draft players that I probably, you know, are a sixth man on a team that I was like, oh man, okay, let's look at their stats. And I'm seeing the improvement in some of these players. So I'm learning more about different teams and how good they are based on these players I put on my team that I didn't follow as much. So that's been fun. I did win my first week. So
hey, there we go.
I'm undefeated, never lost. But no, it's been such a really, it's been a great experience to have it since it's our first year having it. Obviously there's going to be things that they might change next year, whatever it is. And just promoting it and getting more people involved. All the people that are in it right now have been having a blast, and they're learning more about the WNBA and what players they should be following, and maybe getting favorite players that they didn't know about prior, and like actually watching the games then because, oh, she's on my fantasy team. I got to see how many points he's putting up. It's just been a great way to promote the league and get people more involved in watching the games and everything about it. So it's been a fun experience so far.
No doubt. That's what it's all about, the development of this league, because, you know, it deserves plenty of eyes on it on a nightly basis. And this has been great, Jenni. You're a blast to talk basketball with all the time. Go follow Jenni's great work on Twitter, her work with ESPN and the research team. But that's going to do it for us. For Scott Proctor, I got Matt Morris, ESPN senior researcher Jenni LaCroix. It's been fun, but we'll catch you on the next episode of Simple Question.